Jackson,
Here in Southfield.
Loops,
Here in Clausen.
Joliet,
Here in Waterford Township.
Nelson.
Here in Waterford Township.
Madam Chair, you have a quorum.
Excellent. Next up, we'll move on to the Pledge of Allegiance. Pam, can we use your flag again?
Oh, I gotta go grab that. Just a second.
No problem. Thank you.
There's our flag back there too, if you need it.
Excellent. Thank you. Let's all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States
of America.
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Pam. Next up, we'll move on to the approval of the minutes of the March 2nd, 2021 meeting. If there's no corrections, I need a motion. Motion by Commissioner Jackson, seconded by Commissioner Joliet. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next up, we're going to move on to the approval of the agenda. Without objection, I'd like to move consent item number 1, the designation of April 2021 as National Distracted Driving Awareness Month in Oakland County to our regular agenda. Are there any other additional changes or corrections to the agenda? All right, do we have a motion? Motion by Commissioner Gershenson, support by Commissioner Lubes. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All righty. Next up, we will move on to public comment. Is there anyone from the public who'd like to come before the Legislative Affairs and Government Operations Committee?
Yes, good morning. I currently have a few callers on the line. I have 2 callers and 1 written submission. So I'll start with the callers in succession as when they dialed. The first one is Paula Martinez Mante from Royal Oak. Paula, you have 3 minutes to speak.
Yes, thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Can you hear her?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, great. Good morning. Thank you for letting me speak this morning. I'm Paula Martinez-Mante. I'm a Royal Oak resident and an Oakland County business owner and a member of Indivisible Fighting Climate Crisis Working Group. And I'd like to comment on the Commission's recommendation to create a full-time position for an environmental sustainability officer. I'm 100% in support of this first step. Critical that Oakland County lead the way in reducing carbon emissions. Having a full-time staffer to guide the county's efforts on its front will serve as a unifying force for all communities in our county. I'm a member of the Royal Oak Sustainability and Climate Action Plan Task Force. Our group is helping to create a plan for our city's carbon emission reductions. And if all communities, our county, could work in tandem, we have a chance of meeting the governor's goal of reducing carbon emissions in our state by 28% below the 2005 levels by 2025 and to be carbon neutral by 2050. Thank you for taking this important first step, and I look forward to your March 25th vote on creating the position of a sustainability officer from Oakland County. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have Zach Serrana from West Bloom. Zach, can you hear me? Okay. Zach, you have.
If I'm breaking it,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Thank you for giving me the time for your duration. Good morning, Commissioners. I appreciate this. So I'm calling as well to support the development and implementation of a sustainability planner position at Oakland County. I wanted to touch on a couple of points. First, saying that it's not only a vision for the environment, but it's also economically sound. As you can see other initiatives in Michigan, such as production of a sustainability office in Grand Rapids, have resulted in a reduction of 6.1% of their energy usage between 2013 and 2015. It's also resulted in the collection of 178,000 gallons of stormwater per year, which is reducing flood risk and pollution of water systems. I see here that there are sustainability initiatives such as the Weatherization Action Program in the Health and Human Services Department and the Department of Planning with Advantage Oakland. So having a sustainability planner will be able to better coordinate and organize all of the current sustainability initiatives that are ongoing in different departments of the Oakland government. And I see in the 2021 to 2023 financial year budget, there are staff resources devoted to a sustainability effort, and the budget claims that a sustainability fund to assist local governments will be implementing helping implement green initiatives at the municipal levels. Having spoke with Royal Oak and Ferndale's sustainability managers, they're asking for increased support from the county and to have someone who is responsible for these initiatives and setting goals and is responsible for initiatives and goals and between communities that would like to make a difference. And it's to imperative that one of the largest, wealthiest is on board fully in counties in Michigan Senate plan of economic decarbonization by 2050. So, given the past successes within Michigan and the imperative moving forward, I think a sustainability planner who spent their full time doing or implementing initiatives will be critical. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Zach. And that is the last of the callers, and I have one written submission that I'll read in now. Charlotte Massey from Royal Oak. She writes, I support the creation of a full-time position for an Oakland County sustainability planner. Royal Oak, where I live, has an environmental advisory committee, but it would benefit communities like mine to have a planner on a countywide level who could act as a point person on environmental issues, and the planner could help other municipalities start similar programs. A huge step in the right direction of community climate change in the region. And that's mitigating.
Excellent. Thank you, Andrea. If there's no one else who'd like to address the committee, I'll close public comment. Thank you. Next up, we'll move on to our communications. Do we have a motion to receive and file communications item A, the Oakland County Vehicle Fleet Fiscal Year 2021 update? Motion by Commissioner Lubes, support by Commissioner Jackson. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next up, so Pam, I hate to ask you, I'm so sorry, to touch upon again, to make a motion for the acceptance of the consent agenda, or are we moving past that?
Yeah, because there's there's 3 resolutions that are recommended to the board. It'll be a motion and a roll call, just like the regular items.
Thank you so much. Next up, we'll move on to our consent agenda. Do we have a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented? Motion by Commissioner Gershenson, support by Commissioner Lubes. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Roll call. Roll call, please.
Roll call. You have a resolution, so we usually do roll call. Gershenson,
Yes.
Hogendorfer,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Lubes,
Yes.
Joliet,
Yes.
Nelson.
Yes.
Madam Chair, you have 6 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you so much. Next up, we'll move on to our regular agenda. At this time, I would like to have Commissioner Kowal speak on behalf of her resolution. So if there is no objection, do we have a motion for item number 1 of our regular agenda, which is the Board of Commissioners designation of April 2021 as National Distracted Driver Awareness Month. Do we have a motion? Motion by Commissioner Joliet, support by Commissioner Jackson. Welcome, Commissioner Kowal.
Well, thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, committee members, for taking up this resolution today. This is, I forget how many years I brought forward this resolution, and I really, really believe in this initiative because all you have to do is drive down the road and you see people that are behind the wheel and they're not paying attention. For a while, I was regularly driving by a stretch of I-96 that was renamed for a young gentleman on his way to MSU that somebody that was not paying attention, texting and driving, I believed, that caused a huge accident, caused a truck to actually cross over and hit him head on. So his last name was Kiefer, and that part of the road is named for him in a reminder of not to be distracted driving. A little bit of research on this. There's 3 types of distracted driving. Visual, obviously you take your eyes off the road. Manual, you take your hands off the wheel. And then cognitive, that you're just, how many of us have gotten to our destination and we don't even remember how we got there? So they say that actually, if you're not paying attention mentally, it takes you much longer to react to any kind of situation. As we make cars safer all the time, it's just kind of odd that we keep having more and more accidents due to driver error. And I believe that is due to the fact that more people are trying to do multitasking while they're driving. And your brain doesn't multitask. It does one thing at a time. So if you're trying to multitask in driving, your brain is jumping back and forth. And once again, that's just going to take you so much longer to react to any kind of situation that comes up. The statistics are quite alarming. Driving a vehicle while texting is 6 times more dangerous than intoxicated driving. That is mind-numbing to know that. And how many people have been arrested for drunk driving and had to pay huge costs and maybe some time in jail as well. It states that texting drivers react 23% slower than intoxicated drivers do. Another few, I won't bore you with all kinds of statistics because you can certainly find them on your own. More than 2.5 million people are involved in crashes each year, and distracted driving is the leading cause. By some estimates, as many as 1,000 people are injured every day in crashes related to distracted driving. So without going into a lot more statistics, I just want to say that we can make cars as safe as we can until we have fully automated vehicles that take us where we want to go. We got to fix this up here. We have to get that mindset that you just can't do this. And it's so easy. That phone is with you in the car. And it's, I'll just take this call, or I'll just do this, or I'll just do that. And everybody, there's a disconnect because you think nothing's going to happen. But of course, things do happen. They might not happen to you that one time, but obviously this is the cause of a lot of accidents and a lot of injuries and a lot of human wreckage, to say the least. So I'm introducing this resolution, and I would like to see if there's more I can get done between now and our board meeting. But last year, I had great plans for bringing in Mitchell Kiefer, who is the father of the young man who passed away on I-96, and get some other public information efforts going with posters and bumper stickers, perhaps some PSAs, So I think we need to not only, I think it was brought up in the Democrat caucus that we need to not only do these resolutions, but we need to do something to make them more meaningful. So I totally agree with that. I totally think that this effort is certainly worthy of putting more effort behind and making more people aware of distracted driving. As for myself, I guess distracted driving, you know, if I'm not aware of what's going on around me, then how can I protect myself or those passengers in my car from other people that are distracted driving? So I think just as a means of self-preservation, it's a good thing to pay attention to everything on the road, and perhaps go back to those days when we first got our driver's license and we were paying attention to every little thing. And I don't think we'll ever do that again, but we just need to be more aware of that we are driving this thing down the road that is at least a ton or two that, and it's in motion. You're going 55 miles an hour, and in the blink of an eye, you travel the length of a football field. So I'm looking for your support today on this resolution, as well as support at the board meeting next week. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Commissioner Kowal. Do any commissioners have any further discussion on this item? Alrighty, seeing none, roll call please.
On item number 1, Commissioners Gershenson,
Yes.
Wackenderfer,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Loops,
Yes.
Joliet,
Yes.
Nelson.
Yes.
I'm sure you have 6 yeas, 0 nays.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for joining us, Commissioner Kowal. Thank you.
Take care.
Next up, we'll move on to our next item of the irregular agenda, which is our legislative update. We've got Mr. Jim Ryan here with us this morning. So welcome, Jim.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Nice to see you all. Wanted to cover a couple items. First, I'm sure you're all aware of the legislation that would extend the ability to conduct video meetings. That bill is not getting much support within the Republican caucus of the House and Senate. So it's likely that beginning at the end of the month and future meetings will have to be in person. Yesterday, on a call with another committee, Commissioner Gershenson asked if there were any exceptions to it. And I didn't know at the time, but I later found out. And I didn't have your cell, Commissioner, so I texted Dave Woodward to let you know that there is an exception that would allow a county to declare a state of emergency, which would then allow you as a county to continue meeting virtually until June. So I hope that answers your question, Commissioner Gershenson. Whether you choose to do that or not is up to the county. Revenue sharing in the governor's budget shows an increase of 2%. Obviously, we're in the midst of the appropriations debate. The legislature is responding with their budgets, and we'll see if this 2% survives the conferences. The other big ticket item would be the federal relief bill that just recently passed, which would represent about a $10 billion infusion of money into Michigan. The United States Treasury is still preparing guidelines as to what can and cannot be, this money can and cannot be spent on. But there are some parameters that are already in the legislation, such as a state has 3 years to spend the money. It is not allowed to be spent on pension funds, but there is a provision for infrastructure. It is supposed to focus on COVID-related revenue losses. The first half of the $10 billion is going to be delivered within 60 days, but the second half can come to a state no earlier than 12 months. So those are kind of some of the specifics regarding those dollars. Part of the problem is going to be how the legislature wants to authorize that money to be spent by the governor. And that's the big stumbling block right now, because for a year, the legislature has felt that the governor has done all this on her own without their authorization. So now this is they see this as their opportunity to, tell the governor what the money should or should not be spent on. So that fight is ongoing now, and we'll have to see what happens there. It's standard operating procedure these days, I guess. Then the last thing is, we've talked before about the 4-year commission bill, commissioners running every 4 years. It still hasn't been scheduled for a hearing, but the bill sponsors are pushing for it, but there doesn't appear to be any agreement on still whether or not the election should be held in a gubernatorial year or a presidential year. So until background negotiations can figure that out, the bill won't be moving. So with that, I'll stop and ask if anybody has any questions. I'm happy to try to answer them. And thank you for the opportunity, Madam Chair, to come before you this morning.
Absolutely. Thank you. Do any commissioners have any questions for Mr. Ryan? Commissioner Gershenson.
Thank you, Jim, for getting back to me. I'll have to get your cell phone as well. I'd like to ask our staff to assure the commissioners that we are prepared for all 21 commissioners and to come back, and we're not violating any rules about how many people can assemble. And I just want to get an update about the auditorium and the entrance, and I just want to understand that everything is all set and what rules there would be for commissioners.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Do any other commissioners have any questions or comments for Mr. Ryan? Wow, already seeing none. Thank you so much for joining us earlier this morning, Mr. Ryan. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care. Everybody be safe.
You as well. Have a good day. Next up, we're going to move on to item number 6, Human Resources Fiscal Year 2020 Wage Reopener for employees represented by the Michigan American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employee Council 25, Local 2437. Do we have a motion? Motion by Commissioner Loop, support by Commissioner Joliet. And I believe we have April and Julie or Brittany here with us this morning.
I think you're getting April today.
Good morning, April. Welcome.
Hi, how are you guys? Good, good. So thank you very much. Again, this is our 3rd opener. We have our 4th one almost done. This is AFSCME. This team typically is in the circuit court. This particular union actually had a significant number of what we term classifications that were also in the comp study. So almost 9 classifications mirrored the comp study, positions within the comp study. So there was actually very few that we actually had to go outside of what the comp study provided on that. So that was a unique situation here for AFSCME. Overall, this group will see approximately about a 6.4% increase over current wages, which is in line with, again, many of the positions that were in the comp study were in that more of the lower half grades that had a little bit bigger increases due to market and the outside. So lots of financial services, tax office assistants, things of that nature. There also, this is just a wage reopener, will be open again. We start bargaining this spring with this team as well. So you'll probably see us before the end of the fiscal year with a full-on contract.
Thank you, April.
Mm-hmm.
Do any commissioners have any questions for April? I know this is very similar to the other wage reopeners that have come before this committee. Do any commissioners have any questions? Commissioner Kokendorfer.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And just for clarity, I mean, this is in line with, in accordance with the comp study that we've already reviewed and approved, correct?
Yep. Yes, that is correct.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Do any other commissioners have any further questions or comments? Alrighty, seeing none, roll call, please.
On item number 6, Commissioners Kokendorfer,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Luce,
Yes.
Joliet,
Yes.
Gershenson,
Yes. Yes.
Nelson.
Yes.
Madam Chair, you have 6 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. And thank you, April, for presenting on that. Next up, we've got item number 7, which is Central Services Parks and Recreation Commission, approval of fleet expansion of 1 vehicle for park operations. Do we have a motion? Motion by Commissioner Luce, support by Commissioner Jackson. Good morning, Melissa. Welcome.
Good morning. Thank you. So this item is the approval of a fleet expansion of 1 vehicle for park operations. The vehicle is going to be a $0 2-year lease from General Motors. They had reached out to us and asked for the opportunity to do some testing and some small events and some corporate activity out at the ORV park. And we said, we could really use another truck out there. So they are providing us this 2-year $0 lease, and in exchange, we're giving them some days that they can come out and do some testing and some other corporate activity at the park.
Excellent. Thank you. Do any commissioners have any questions? Commissioner Jackson.
I just want to comment that really sounds like a win-win. We don't get a lot of win-wins, so it's just good to hear that. That's great news. Also just to hear our auto supplier and GM is participating. So great. That's good to hear. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion on this item? Commissioner Gershenson.
Yeah, just to follow up on what Commissioner Jackson said, I know that there are other organizations that are interested in some sort of partnership to get publicity for their product through the park. So I think it's a great idea.
Thank you. Yeah, and if I can just elaborate a little bit to say that we have been working with Mark's Laning Company that we brought on contract to help us with sponsorship. So we're hoping in the next few months we'll see some really exciting some things both at the ORV park and throughout the park system.
Very nice. Thank you. Is there any further discussion on this item? Thank you, Melissa. Madam roll call, please.
On item number 7, Commissioners Jackson,
Yes.
Luce,
Yes.
Joliet,
Yes.
Gershenson,
Yes.
Kokendorfer,
Yes.
Nelson.
Yes.
Madam Chair, you have 6 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Moving on to our next item of the agenda, item number 8, Parks and Recreation Commission approval of the 2021 Fair Food Network Double Up Food Bucks Program Award. Do I have a motion? Motion by Commissioner Luke, support by Commissioner Joliet. And again, welcome, Melissa.
Thank you. So this is the same grant program that I had brought to the committee a few months ago for an amendment for last year's agreement because we had essentially run out of funding for last year. So they had given us that amendment to make up the funding to reimburse our farmers. So this is just the next year's agreement. So this is that great program that we do with the Fair Food Network. It's USDA funds where essentially anyone who's using those assistance, food assistance benefits at the market can double what they're purchasing in terms of fresh produce through this program. So they upped our amount this year, knowing that we might need it. So it's a $25,000 award. I have no doubt that we will use all of that. So again, it's just a really great program and we're happy to be continuing it at the market.
Thank you. Do any commissioners have any discussion on this item? Questions? Commissioner Gershenson.
Well, thank you. Last week at Dan Stenzel's retirement, I alluded to so many of the great programs that have happened under his leadership. And this Healthy Open Partnership Committee has sponsored many events for seniors to get fresh produce and for low-income residents. And this is just another example of an opportunity that has been well marketed and is well needed. But it's a great credit to the parks and to the farmers who initially were reluctant to accept this program. It's just been such a great success. So I wanted to just thank the parks for all their efforts in putting this forward.
Thank you. Yeah, we're actually going to be working with Oakland University to create a similar program as well. I forget exactly what it's called, but something about Healthy Oakland, where essentially they can attend a program to learn about healthy eating and healthy living, and then get a voucher that they can come spend at the market. So since our farmers are so used to this program, we think that they're all going to sign up for that one as well, which is great. So you'll see that soon when that grant agreement comes through.
Excellent. Thank you. Do any commissioners have any further questions on this item? Well, Melissa, thank you so much for presenting with us.
Thank you.
Roll call, please.
On item number 8, Commissioners Loose,
Yes.
Elliott,
Yes.
Gershenson,
Yes.
Pokendurfer,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Nelson.
Yes.
I'm sure you have 6 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Next up, we're moving on to our last item. Well, actually, our second to last item of the regular agenda, which is the county executive creation of the environmental sustainability officer classification and position. Do we have a motion? Motion by Commissioner Liu, support by Commissioner Gershenson. Welcome, April.
Hello again. Before you is a request to create a position called Environmental Sustainability Officer. Our intention is to take a position that is being vacated by the VSIP and replace it with this position. We have a lot of goals for this position. In fact, the more I talk about it, this person's going to have to be a superhero as well. But primarily what we're looking at is that we have a lot of opportunities here for protecting our environment here in Oakland County. And we need somebody on staff who really understands and can prioritize what those things are. Everybody has great ideas on how we can be environmentally sustainable, but we need somebody who can help us navigate what the priorities are, what makes the most sense, where can we do to make our dollars go the furthest and have the largest impact on carbon emissions and making sure that we're protecting our natural resources here on campus. And I think that not only campus, but for the whole county. So I think that's one key component. I think another key component that this position will be helping us with is that there are a lot of dollars out there to support us in our efforts in environmental sustainability. I would see this person helping us with grants, making sure that we have leveraged the dollars that we would put into the things that we need to do within the county, as well as making sure that, again, we are making that the goals that we have and that we're moving these things forward in a way that makes sense, and so that we're not kind of spending a lot of money on things that don't make a great impact and not spending money on others that do. So that grant component and those dollars that we think are going to be available through the federal government, through foundations is going to be critical. Another piece that we see this person doing is a huge collaborator. So we have actually multiple departments just here alone in Oakland County with Parks and Rec, WRC, and our own planning department that spread their wings out as it relates to the whole county. I think this person will also be a collaborator with them and other local communities to help them, support them, and help provide some clarity and direction for those that need it and learn from those communities that are already doing this stuff really well. So having a person here to be able to navigate that will be very critical in helping us be connected and being part of the solution for Oakland County as a region. I think that overall, this position is going to be very high-level policy driven, which will help really pave the way for us to make good, solid decisions. As you know, we're bringing forward, hopefully tomorrow, a request for a campus-wide sustainability plan, and then also eventually in the future, a desire to do a county-wide climate action plan as well. So this position, again, will be very critical in leading us and making sure, again, that we're making good, solid decisions, prioritizing well, making sure we're leveraging our dollars that are available for environmental sustainability. So that's the overall big picture.
Thank you. April, I would just like to say, I want to thank you for your leadership and all the work that you've helped over the past, few months in regards to the environmental sustainability work group. I know myself and Commissioner Markham have been sitting on that work group, and I'm so pleased with the amount of progress and the work. And without your leadership, I'm not convinced that we would be where we are today. So thank you for your leadership in this. And I'm super excited to get the ball rolling on the sustainability officer, because there's a lot of things that we're going to be moving and shaking on. So I appreciate your leadership in this initiative. So thank you.
Thank you.
Is there Commissioner Kolkendorfer?
Great, thank you. April, thank you very much for that presentation, for the info. I appreciate it. I mean, sustainability, it's very important to the county. I've approved a number of resolutions in the past to support those efforts. I do want to learn a little bit more, though, about the deletion of the Deputy Director for Economic Development. Could you give me a little more information on that aspect?
Sure. Earlier this fall, or I think it was maybe late fall, Sean Carlson brought forward a economic development reorganization. So that position was slated eventually to be for elimination. The way that they reframed everything down there with more managers in particular areas. So it was a position that was moving toward the deletion. So it's not impacting economic development, was part of their overall future plan. I hope that's helpful.
Do you know how those, and this is in the previous plan maybe, but do you know how the previous roles of the deputy director will now be assigned?
He did a whole reorg, so I'd be happy to have him reach out to you. Yeah, they've kind of created different divisions. I'm kind of going into something that's not my lane, but they took that matrix study that they did, and they kind of they're realigning into multiple divisions: business development, international relations, all of that kind of stuff. So if you'd like, Commissioner, I can have Sean just reach out to you, make sure that you have a comfort level with those changes he made.
I appreciate it, April. Thank you. And I'll go back myself and look at my notes. I'm going to be a no on this today just for that reason. I may be a yes at the board meeting. I just need to do a little more research on that aspect.
Sure. Understood.
Do any other commissioner, Commissioner Gershenson?
Hi, April. Do we have a timeline for this hire?
Should it get approved next week? My goal is to get it posted fairly quickly. I would imagine a hire probably within 60 days after that, and probably another 30 before they're on board, depending on what position that they would need to give notice. So probably 90 days before somebody would be in play.
Thank you.
Great question. Is there any other discussion on this item? All right. Thank you so much, April. Seeing none, roll call, please.
On item number 9, Commissioners Joliet,
Yes.
Gershenson,
Yes.
Kolkendorfer,
No.
Jackson,
Yes.
Loops,
Yes.
Nelson.
Yes.
I'm sure you have 5 yeas, 1 nay.
Thank you. Next up to the